When life feels heavy, when each day feels like walking through thick fog, there's something most people don't realize. It's not always the situation that breaks us. It's the way we think about it. And here's the twist. Science now shows that your mind can be trained to find light, even when everything around you feels dark. There's a reason some people seem to stay calm and hopeful, even in chaos. They're not immune to pain. They're not lucky. They're using something ancient, something hidden in plain sight, positive thinking in its real raw form. Not the fake smile through everything advice you've heard before. Not the glossy motivational quotes. I'm talking about the kind of mental shift that rewires the way your brain reacts to stress and quietly builds strength in the background of your life. In this video, we're going to explore how to use that shift when life is at its toughest. And I promise, it's not just about looking on the bright side. That's where most people get it wrong. Positive thinking isn't about ignoring pain. It's about working with it, bending it, and using it to push you forward instead of hold you back. We'll go deep into how your mind can either heal you or hurt you, depending on the story you let it tell. You'll learn the kind of thoughts that actually change your body's chemistry and lower the stress signals racing through your system. You'll see why certain words you say to yourself can make your brain release calming chemicals, while other words, even casual ones, make your anxiety spike without you realizing it. We'll uncover how some survivors of life's harshest moments, war, loss, financial ruin, managed to not just survive but to grow stronger, sharper, and even more compassionate because of what they went through. Most people don't know this, but there's a phenomenon called post-traumatic growth. It's the flip side of trauma that never gets as much attention. It's the reason some people come out of their darkest chapter more creative, more confident, and more at peace than they ever were before. This video will show you how to plant the seeds for that kind of growth inside your own mind, no matter what's happening outside it. We'll also talk about a dangerous trap, something called toxic positivity. You've seen it before. It's the idea that you should always stay happy and look for the silver lining, even if your world is crumbling. The truth, that kind of forced cheer can make you feel worse. It can make you hide your real emotions, which your mind and body still carry deep inside. And over time, that hidden pain can show up as exhaustion, irritability, even illness. So we'll break down how to spot the difference between healthy, empowering positivity and the kind that silently eats away at your resilience. By the time we're done, you'll know how to use gratitude in a way that actually sticks, how to make it more than a list in a journal. You'll know how to spot and challenge the sneaky negative thought loops that creep in without warning. You'll know how to shift your focus in just a few seconds, even when your situation hasn't changed at all. You'll also hear about a strange effect scientists call the broaden and build theory. It shows that positive emotions don't just make you feel better. They expand your ability to think clearly, solve problems, and see possibilities you would otherwise miss. It's like suddenly having more doors in a hallway you thought had only one exit. Imagine what that could mean when you're facing a challenge you thought had no way out. And here's the suspense. What you'll learn today could change not just your mood, but the entire direction of your life. Because the way you think during your lowest point often decides where you'll end up when the storm passes. Some people spiral deeper, others rise higher, and it's rarely about the circumstances. It's almost always about the mindset. We'll look at small proven actions you can take today, yes, even while you're still in the middle of the storm, that can start rewiring your brain for hope and resilience. Things so small they seem almost too simple to work until you try them. By the end of this video, you'll have a toolkit of mental shifts that you can carry into any situation, loss, failure, uncertainty, and know that you can face it without losing yourself. You'll be able to recognize the exact moment your thinking starts to pull you under and choose to pull yourself back up instead. This isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about finding the quiet power to keep moving forward when it's not. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't just wait for better days, but creates them one thought at a time. So stay with me until the very end, because the last technique I'm going to share has been used by elite athletes, trauma survivors, and even astronauts to keep their minds steady under extreme pressure. It's not something you'll hear in most self-help talks, but once you know it, you can never unknow it. And once you start using it, you'll feel the difference in how you handle everything big or small. Welcome to Infinite Power, where we uncover the hidden forces that shape your mind, your habits, and your future. If you're ready to see how strong you really are and to train your thinking to work for you instead of against you, make sure you subscribe now, because this is just the beginning. When life knocks us down, the first instinct is often to either fight it head on or to shut it out completely. But real positive thinking doesn't ask you to deny what's happening. It doesn't demand that you smile through the tears or pretend the pain isn't there. In fact, it starts with the opposite. Looking your reality straight in the eye and saying, yes, this is hard. Yes, it hurts. But I will choose how I respond. Acknowledging reality is a form of self-respect. It means you trust yourself enough to face the truth without crumbling under it. You don't sugarcoat your feelings. You don't minimize your experience just to make others more comfortable. You say what's real. I lost my job. I'm scared about the future. This relationship ended and it hurts. Naming the truth is the first step toward taking its power away. Here's the shift. Once you've acknowledged the reality, you have a choice in how to live with it. This is where gentle, real positive thinking comes in. It doesn't say, everything's fine. It says everything is not fine, but I can still find a way forward. This small but powerful change keeps your mind from drowning in negativity, while still honoring the truth of your experience. This approach is often called lemonading. The name comes from the old saying about turning lemons into lemonade. But here it's not about pretending lemons are sweet. It's about saying, yes, this is sour, but I can work with it. I can add something to make it bearable, maybe even meaningful. Lemonading is the art of finding small value, small lessons, or small moments of light in dark situations. Imagine someone who loses a major business deal. At first they feel crushed. They allow themselves to feel the disappointment fully. But instead of saying, this is the end, they begin to ask, what can I learn here? What mistake can I avoid next time? What new opportunity might this open up? That's lemonading in action. Not ignoring the loss, but blending the sourness with something that makes it easier to swallow. The truth is, life will hand you things you never wanted: illness, loss, rejection, change. You can't always choose the event, but you can choose the meaning you attach to it. That meaning determines how you move forward. Two people can go through the same hardship, yet one becomes bitter, while the other grows wiser. The difference is rarely the event itself. It's the risk. Gentle positive thinking invites you to see yourself not as a victim of life, but as an active participant in it. Even in your lowest moments, you still have choices. You can choose to speak to yourself with compassion instead of cruelty. You can choose to focus on what is still in your control instead of what's already lost. You can choose to notice a small moment of beauty, a kind word, a sunset, the sound of laughter, without feeling guilty for enjoying it, even when life is messy. Lemonading doesn't mean you rush through your pain. It's not about covering up a deep wound with a thin bandage of fake optimism. It's about being fully aware of the wound while still letting light in. You let yourself process your feelings. You give yourself permission to rest. But you also open the door to moments of possibility. Maybe your setback forces you to take a break, which gives you time to think about what you really want. Maybe losing one thing gives you space to discover something better. Think of it like weather. If you wake up to a rainy day, you don't have the power to stop the rain, but you can choose whether you sit in the dark or open the curtains to let in what little light there is. You can make tea, put on warm clothes, and find comfort in the sound of the rain, even if part of you still wishes for sunshine. That's the blend of honesty and hope, acknowledging the rain, yet finding a way to make the day livable. The beauty of this mindset is that it grows stronger the more you use it. At first it might feel unnatural. Your mind may be so used to spiraling into worst-case thinking that it resists the idea of looking for anything good. But the more you practice, the more your brain learns to spot the tiniest openings for hope, even in the darkest times. It becomes a habit, one that quietly rewires how you handle every challenge. And here's the part most people miss. Positive thinking is not the same as being happy all the time. In fact, trying to force happiness when you're hurting can make you feel worse. Real positive thinking allows space for every feeling: anger, sadness, confusion, and still says, I believe I can get through this. It's the belief, not the constant smile, that keeps you moving forward. If you think back to some of the strongest people you've known or read about, chances are they didn't get there because life was always kind to them. They became strong because they learned the balance of acknowledging pain without letting it define them. They turned their lemons into something they could live with, sometimes even something sweet. It's also worth noticing that lemonading isn't just about personal gain. When you find small bits of light in your own hardship, you're better able to share that light with others. You can offer encouragement from a place of understanding, not judgment. You can tell someone, I've been there. I know it's hard. Here's what helped me, instead of simply telling them to cheer up. This mindset doesn't erase the difficulty, but it can soften it. It's like walking through a rough, rocky path while wearing shoes. The rocks are still there. You still feel some of the uneven ground, but the shoes give you enough protection to keep going without injuring yourself further. Acknowledging reality is like seeing the rocks clearly. Lemonading is like putting on those shoes and saying, all right, let's walk. Stress has a way of wearing down the body over time. It weakens the immune system, slows healing, and can even lead to chronic illnesses. Positive emotions act like a counterbalance. They don't erase all stress, but they help your body recover from it faster. It's similar to how stretching helps your muscles after exercise. Positive thinking helps your body bounce back after emotional strain. Even your heart benefits. Studies have shown that optimistic people are less likely to experience heart disease and recover more quickly if they do. Part of this is because they're more likely to take care of themselves, eating better, exercising, and following medical advice. But there's also a direct connection between the mind and the cardiovascular system. When you're in a positive state, your heart rate and blood pressure tend to stabilize. And it's not only about avoiding illness, it's also about living with more energy. When your thoughts lean toward hope instead of fear, you naturally feel more motivated. You're more willing to take action. You're less likely to be paralyzed by what-ifs. This is why people who maintain an optimistic outlook often seem to accomplish more. They see possibilities and move toward them, while others get stuck in hesitation. The benefits reach into your relationships too. Positive thinking makes you more open, approachable, and empathetic. When you're caught in a negative spiral, it's easy to shut people out or lash out without meaning to. But when you feel a little lighter inside, you communicate better, listen more, and connect more deeply. Those connections then become part of your support system, which strengthens you even further. Another key point is that positive thinking helps you adapt in changing situations. Life rarely goes exactly as planned, and being too rigid can make you feel broken when things shift. Optimism gives you the mental space to adjust without losing your balance. It's the difference between a tree that snaps in the wind and one that bends but stays rooted. This adaptability is a survival skill in both personal and professional life. People often assume you have to be naturally cheerful to gain these benefits, but that's not true. Positive thinking is not an inborn trait. It's a practice. You can train yourself to notice and focus on the small positives, even if your default is more cautious or critical. Each time you catch yourself spiraling into worst-case scenarios and gently redirect your thoughts, you're reinforcing a healthier pattern. It's also important to remember that positive thinking works best when it's grounded in reality. You're not ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. You're acknowledging the challenge while choosing to focus on what can help you move forward. This balance makes your optimism sustainable. Forced cheerfulness that ignores reality can be exhausting and even harmful, but grounded optimism fuels you instead of draining you. Positive thinking also strengthens your sense of control. When you believe you have influence over your own life, even in small ways, you're more likely to take constructive action. That sense of agency is deeply protective against feelings of helplessness and despair. It doesn't mean you control everything, but it means you trust yourself to respond effectively to what you can control. Over time, the combination of broadened thinking, resilience, reduced stress, and improved health creates a kind of upward spiral. One positive shift leads to another. A calmer mind helps you sleep better. Better sleep helps you think more clearly. Clearer thinking helps you solve problems faster. and solving problems faster reduces stress even more. The cycle reinforces itself, and your combining presence and planning adds another layer of stability. Being present means focusing on what's right in front of you, what you can see, hear, and do in this moment. It's the grounding feeling of noticing your breath, the texture of the floor beneath your feet, or the details of your surroundings. Presence keeps your mind from spinning too far into the what-ifs of the future or the should-haves of the past. But presence alone can feel incomplete when you're facing uncertainty. This is where planning comes in, not the kind that spirals into anxiety, but intentional, hopeful planning. You allow yourself to imagine a future where things have improved, and then you outline small, realistic steps to move toward. This balance keeps you steady in the now while also giving you direction. For example, if you've lost a job, presence might be taking a calm walk to clear your mind, while planning could be updating your resume or reaching out to one contact each day. Balancing presence and planning helps you avoid two extremes, being so focused on the future that you miss the life you have now, or being so anchored in the present that you stop working toward what's next. It's like sailing. You keep your eyes on the horizon, but you also stay aware of the waves under your boat. These strategies, gratitude and savoring, kind self-talk, mindful acknowledgement, and the blend of presence with planning, are simple enough to start immediately. They don't require special tools or perfect conditions. They work because they train your mind to gently shift focus, to notice what's good without denying what's hard. Each practice feeds into the others. Gratitude makes kind self-talk easier. Kind self-talk makes mindful acknowledgement safer. Acknowledgement clears space for presence, and presence creates a steady base for hopeful planning. When you begin to weave these habits into daily life, they become less like separate exercises and more like natural response. In a moment of stress, your mind remembers to breathe, to notice one small thing to be grateful for, to speak to yourself kindly, to acknowledge the feeling without letting it take over, and to take one small step towards something better. And in that sequence, even the hardest moments become a little more navigable. Sometimes people think that being positive means wearing a smile no matter what. They believe it means pushing away sadness, anger, or frustration. But that's not what true positivity looks like. Real positivity is not about pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It's about allowing yourself to feel what you feel and still holding space for hope. It's about understanding that hard feelings are part of being alive, and that they don't make you weak. They make you human. When we ignore them or cover them up with forced cheer, we don't give ourselves the chance to grow. There's a term for this misunderstanding: toxic positivity. It's when someone tries to keep an unshakable happy face at all times, no matter the situation. It can come from good intentions, wanting to stay strong or keep it light, but in reality it can shut down honest expression. If someone is going through a tough time and hears, "Just think positive" or "Don't be sad," it can make them feel unseen or invalidated. It sends the message that their emotions are wrong or unwelcome. Over time, this can create pressure to hide struggles, even from ourselves, and that makes real healing harder. A balanced mindset avoids this trap. It starts by acknowledging the whole truth of what's happening, both the difficult and the hopeful. It gives permission to say, "Yes, this is hard," while also saying, "Yes, I believe things can improve." This balance creates room for both reality and possibility to exist, side by side. It's the difference between pretending the storm isn't there and standing in the rain, knowing the sun will return. That knowledge is powerful because it allows us to stay grounded and honest while keeping our eyes on better days ahead. When we allow ourselves to feel pain, we create space to process it, and when we process it, we can let it move through us rather than get stuck inside. This is why healthy positivity is not about erasing negative emotions. It's about integrating them. It's learning to say, "I'm scared, and I'm also capable," or "I'm grieving, and I still have hope." That kind of inner dialogue doesn't deny reality. It honors it while choosing a direction that leads toward healing. Sometimes people fear that acknowledging their pain will make it worse, but often the opposite is true.
By naming and facing emotions, we release some of the energy they hold over us. It's like opening a window in a stuffy room. Suddenly there's more space to breathe. In that space, positivity can take root naturally. It's not forced. It's not plastered over sadness. It grows because we've made room for it. A balanced mindset also respects timing. There are moments when hope feels far away, and that's okay. In those moments, the goal isn't to leap straight into joy. It's to be gentle with ourselves and take one small step toward light. Maybe that step is resting. Maybe it's talking to someone, or maybe it's simply sitting quietly and breathing. Each step matters, and each one makes it easier for the next. This approach also deepens empathy. When we accept our own struggles without judgment, we become more understanding of others. We realize that everyone faces storms, and not every day is meant to be sunny. That understanding strengthens relationships, because people feel safe sharing their true selves. And when people feel safe, they heal faster. The beauty of a balanced mindset is that it makes positivity sustainable. Forced happiness burns out quickly, because it's built on denial, but hope that grows from acceptance lasts, because it's rooted in truth. It bends when life is hard, but doesn't break. It's strong enough to hold sadness in one hand and optimism in the other. The strength is quiet, steady, and resilient. It's the kind that carries us through long seasons of challenge, without losing who we are. Over time, practicing this balance rewires the way we respond to life. We stop fearing difficult emotions and start seeing them as signals, not threats. A wave of sadness might tell us we need connection. Frustration might signal a need for rest or change. Instead of shutting these feelings down, we learn from them. And the more we learn, the more equipped we are to choose hope in a way that feels natural, not forced. Healthy positivity doesn't erase the hard, it transforms how we meet. It's the steady voice inside that says, this moment is tough, but it's not forever. It's the inner knowing that even when we can't see the horizon, it's still there. And it's the gentle reminder that feeling deeply and hoping fully are not opposites. They're partners in resilience. If you want, I can now continue and write the next section of your video, so it flows without breaks. Would you like me to move forward with that? Hardship often arrives without warning. It can feel like the ground beneath you has shifted, leaving you uncertain about where to stand next. In those moments, everything might seem like it's breaking apart. Yet quietly beneath the noise of struggle, there is often the potential for something unexpected: growth. Difficult times test us, but they also shape us in ways we can't always see while we are in the middle of them. They strip away what is unimportant and force us to focus on what truly matters. When life feels heavy, it can be tempting to believe that nothing good could come from the challenge you're facing. But if you pause and look closely, even in the middle of pain, there are often threads of learning weaving through the experience. You may find that you become more patient, more understanding, and more aware of your own limits. And your own struggle doesn't just show you who you are, it reveals who you can become. Sometimes difficulty brings out a quiet resilience you didn't know you had. It pushes you to find solutions you wouldn't have considered in easier times. You learn how to manage uncertainty, how to keep moving even when progress feels slow, and how to adapt when things don't go according to plan. These skills don't vanish when the hard time ends. They stay with you, ready to help in future challenges. There is also a strange way in which hardship can bring clarity. When life is smooth, it's easy to get lost in distractions. But when things get hard, you start to see which relationships, values, and goals truly matter to you. You may realize that certain connections grow stronger when tested, while others fall away. This refining process can feel painful, but it leaves you with a clearer sense of who belongs in your life and where you want to direct your energy. Hardship often deepens empathy. When you've gone through something difficult yourself, you're more able to understand the pain of others. You can offer comfort in a way that's real, because you've felt something similar. This deeper connection to others is one of the quiet gifts that comes from struggle. It builds bonds that aren't based on convenience, but on shared humanity. Growth through hardship doesn't mean pretending that suffering is easy or desirable. It's about recognizing that even in the most difficult experiences, there is an opportunity for change and for strength to emerge. Sometimes you discover new talents or passions simply because the old path was no longer available to you. A closed door can push you toward a new direction, one you might never have considered without the challenge that forced the shift. It's also worth noting that growth often happens in small steps, not sudden leaps. You might not wake up one morning feeling transformed. Instead, you'll look back months or years later and realize you've become calmer in crisis, quicker to recover from disappointment, or more confident in your ability to navigate uncertainty. These changes build quietly, almost invisibly, while you keep moving forward. For some, hardship becomes a catalyst for redefining life entirely. A health scare might inspire someone to prioritize wellness. A job loss could lead to starting a business or pursuing a long dreamed of career. A difficult breakup might push you to understand yourself in ways you hadn't before. Each challenge carries within it the seed of a different future, one that might be more aligned with your true self. There's also a spiritual or philosophical side to growth through hardship. Many people find that in the hardest seasons, they are forced to confront deep questions about meaning, purpose, and values. This kind of reflection can lead to a stronger inner foundation, something that supports you even when external circumstances are unstable. One of the most profound outcomes of hardship is the ability to trust yourself more. When you've walked through fire and survived, you begin to believe in your own capacity to handle life's unpredictability. You stop fearing every possible obstacle because you know you've faced challenges before and you've learned from them. This self-trust is a powerful form of freedom. While the idea of growth through hardship can sound inspiring, it's important to remember that growth is not automatic. It requires openness, a willingness to reflect on your experience and to allow it to shape you rather than harden you. This doesn't mean you must be grateful for every difficulty. It means you can choose to let it teach you something valuable. Even when life feels unbearably heavy, seeds of transformation are quietly being planted. You might not see them sprouting yet, but they're there waiting for the right moment to break through the surface. And when they do, you may find yourself not only stronger, but also more compassionate, more focused, and more connected to what truly matters. In the end, hardship can be more than a period to endure. It can be a turning point. It can lead to deeper personal strength, new paths, and stronger connections, both with yourself and with the people who walk beside you through life's storm. The process isn't always clear while you're in it, but as you move forward, you may discover that the very challenges you once wished away have become the foundation for the best parts of who you are becoming. Even when life feels heavy, remember, positive thinking isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about giving yourself a light to walk by in the dark. Each small shift in your mindset can make the weight easier to carry. Start with something simple to write down one thing you're grateful for, or speak one kind sentence to yourself, as if you were talking to a dear friend. These small acts are seeds. Over time, they grow into strength, peace, and quiet hope. The path forward doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. It just has to be yours. And every step you take toward kindness and hope is a victory worth noticing. If this message helped you, give this video a like and subscribe to Infinite Power so we can keep walking this path together. Your journey matters, and we're here to remind you of